okay? Are you going to my room? That's definitely not appropriate. No, ma'am. No, thank you. I think the cat's coming back on her heat. Grandma, aka Gracie. Gracie, I told her something and she started talking again, which is phase one. If she starts to answer you with meows, fuck. Now she just came over here and tried to muscle past me. I told her no. I said, this is not going to be appropriate. It's not going to happen. She protested with a meow, and then she went her little way. Let me bring myself up here. This right here is what the fuck I'm talking about. All right, let me give you the breakdown story, because this is happening right now. I'm finding out. This is the type of shit I wanted to know. I've actually been to this place, too. I've been out here. It is weird. Unless her thumbnail is totally fucking deceiving me. And that's not a fucking skinwalker, a fleshgate, or a fucking rake. This thing walking here, she's trying to depict, she's going to get right into it. She's a medical professional. She's moved out to the outskirts of Big Bend, desolated place. They put her up to stay at a little motel. She's got one of the rooms. She's happy. There's a lady that operates it at nighttime and all through the day, a little old lady. But she's starting to see these weird lights on the horizon. She goes to work during the day at the little clinic. She comes back and she stays here. She's giving her story, but she's going to tell you that there's monsters in Texas, and I think that's the monster right there that she's talking about. I'm bringing you in.
Convinced I'd imagined it, until I saw something scuttle behind a dried bush near the motel's side wall.
This is fucking good.
The movement was low to the ground, quick and jerky. My breath caught. Could have been a stray dog. Could have been a fox. I tried to reassure myself with every logical explanation I could muster, but that flicker of movement seemed wrong. Longer limbed than any dog, too big to be a fox. I spent the rest of that night half awake, listening to the hiss of the air conditioner and jumping at every creak. At the clinic the next day, Hector noticed I was pale and asked if I was feeling sick. I told him about the tapping and the glimpse of something near the motel. He gave me a concerned look. Could be javelinas, coyotes, maybe even some unscrupulous person hanging around. You want me to take a look tonight? I declined, not wanting to impose. Yet a part of me wished I'd said yes. Isolation can amplify every fear, and I didn't want to feel alone if something truly strange was going on. The flickering lights out in the desert continued each night. Sometimes they'd blink in a slow, deliberate pattern. On, off, on, off, like a code. Other times, they'd just appear and fade. I couldn't shake the sense that they were meant to draw attention, like beacons luring someone out there. One evening, I gathered my courage and decided to drive a bit closer. The motel stood on a long stretch of highway, so I started down a side road that branched off near an old sign advertising a long, abandoned tourist attraction. Dust churned under my tires, and the darkness thickened away from the main road. After maybe 2 miles, I saw a rocky outcrop ahead. The flicker of light was there, shining once, twice, and then it vanished. I parked on the shoulder, leaving my headlights on. Desert shrubs and stones crowded my view. I wanted to see if there was a hiker or a camper messing around. I heard only the drone of insects and an occasional hoot from a distant owl. The dryness of the air caught in my throat. No sign of footprints in the sand, no campfire glow. I called out, "Hello?" My voice came back to me, flat and small against the stillness. A gust of wind rustled the brush. Then I heard a faint clicking noise, like rocks tapping together. Goosebumps rose on my arms. I swung my flashlight around, expecting to see someone, maybe kids playing a prank. Instead, I caught the briefest glimpse of something pale darting behind a boulder.
Fucking Fletchgate. Goddamn skinwalker.
We got the house! You did it! Don't worry about the driving with pot.
They've been making me watch all these fucking commercials. This thing goes all the way up when before my fucking skip would pop up anytime the commercial did. This is bullshit.
Pack at your pace, store your...
Bullshit. Fuck you, YouTube.
It moved in a way that made my skin crawl, all angles and bent limbs. My heart thundered as I stumbled back to the car, nearly twisting my ankle on loose gravel. That fleeting image seared into my mind. Tall, wiry, skin so light it almost blended with the dusty backdrop. Too big for a coyote, not shaped like a person, yet it darted on 2 legs, or maybe 4. Everything about it felt unnatural. I slammed my door shut, locked it, and reversed onto the main highway, pushing the gas too hard. My palms were slick with sweat as I clutched the steering wheel, eyes flicking to the rearview mirror every few seconds. I half expected to see that shape sprinting after me, but the desert was empty. I returned to the motel, mind reeling. That night, I hardly slept. Every car door slamming in the parking lot, every shift of the wind outside, set my nerves on edge. I told myself I had to keep it together. This was just an odd phenomenon.
That's a sign of seeing one of these things. You're supposed to be very disturbed, disoriented, nightmare-y, even sick feeling.
Maybe a trick of the eyes, maybe an eccentric local. The next morning, Hector took one look at me and suggested we chat in private. He asked if I wanted to contact the local sheriff. I said no, not yet. What would I even say? There's a pale, spidery creature skulking around the desert. No, they'd dismiss me as tired or delusional. Days slipped by in a tense blur. Each night those lights flickered, but I stayed in my room, unwilling to chase them again. The desert wind rattled the cheap motel windows. Once, around 3 a.m, I woke to hear a soft scraping on the motel's outer wall. I held my breath, gripping the sheets. A shape passed by the window, blocking the faint glow of a distant street lamp. It looked upright, but stooped in a disjointed posture. The next day I found faint smudges on the glass outside, as though long fingers had dragged across it. Lila just pursed her lips, saying softly, "You're not the only one who's noticed things." She didn't elaborate, and I didn't push. The clinic itself stayed its usual routine, though fewer patients came in during the following week, maybe due to the rising heat or some local event I hadn't heard about. Hector, for his part, began to glance at me with worry. "You sure you're okay?" he asked more than once. "You look like you haven't slept in days." I'd nod, offering excuses about insomnia or stress, and a creeping dread that something unexplainable was crossing the boundary of the motel's parking lot each night. One evening, I found the stones stacked behind my room. Not large rocks, but small, smooth pebbles balanced in 3 neat piles near my window. No footprints around them, despite the dusty ground. I nudged them with my foot, sending them tumbling. That's when a bitter, decaying smell hit me, carried by the wind. I coughed, stepping away, scanning the yard. The odor vanished as quickly as it arrived. Could have been a dead animal nearby, or rotting vegetation from the underside of an old dumpster. But it felt targeted, like a warning drifting on the breeze. My heart hammered and I retreated to my room, triple-checking the locks. One particularly sweltering afternoon, I stayed late at the clinic to catch up on paperwork. Hector had gone home, leaving me alone in the small office area. The overhead lights hummed and the ancient window unit AC sputtered. Around sunset, the clinic phone rang. No voice responded when I answered, just a series of faint clicks and static, then a raspy hiss, like distant wind. I repeated, "Hello?" but the line went dead. Unease prickled my scalp. I told myself it was a faulty connection or a wrong number. Still, it felt too coincidental. especially given the bizarre clicking I'd heard out in the desert.
Girl.
Driving back to the motel that evening, I noticed the flickering lights again, this time closer to the highway. I refused to stop, pushing the accelerator until the motel's sign glowed in the distance. The moment I parked, Lila hurried over. She said another guest had left abruptly, spooked by scratching sounds. She also mentioned she'd seen stacked stones by multiple rooms now. Her voice trembled as she confessed, "I've run this place for 10 years. I've never seen the desert so active. People used to talk about things out there, but I never believed them. You felt it, haven't you?" I nodded, feeling relief that I wasn't alone, but also a surge of dread that it was all too real. That night, I couldn't handle the tension anymore. I stuffed some essentials into a backpack, planning to leave at first light. But fate had other plans. Around 1 a.m, a frantic tapping started at my door. I bolted upright, heart pounding. Then came a rasping hiss through the crack at the bottom of the door, followed by the distinct sound of nails, or something like nails, dragging across the wood. Summoning courage, I threw on the overhead lamp, adrenaline surging. The tapping intensified, and I heard a muffled click, 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 like communication. My mind flashed to the phone call earlier, those same clicks on the line. Stepping closer, I peered through the thin motel door's peephole. My stomach dropped. A tall, pallid figure stood hunched under the weak porch light, arms too long for its torso, legs bent at odd angles. Its face was partially obscured by the shadow of a battered overhang, but I caught the gleam of dark, recessed eyes. As if sensing my gaze, it jerked its head upward, pressing a splayed hand with elongated fingers against the door. I stifled a scream, stumbling backward. The shape then darted out of view, scuttling sideways like an insect. Tapping on the window followed. I fumbled for my phone, hands shaking, and realized with horror I had no signal. The motel's Wi-Fi was spotty at best. The tapping on the glass escalated to a scraping that made my skin crawl. Pieces of the old putty on the window frame began to flake off, drifting to the sill. I flicked off the overhead lamp, hoping darkness would make me less of a target. My heart pounded.
I'd blast that motherfucking thing. I'd fucking blast that motherfucker through the goddamn door, I would. Fuck that. This creepy, weird, bent up, spindly ass White Walker fucking thing? That shit wouldn't fly out here. No, ma'am.
So hard, I wondered if it would give me away. The silhouette kept passing in front of the window, back and forth. In the faint glow from the parking lot's single light,
Fucking blast
I saw glimpses
that
of a pale, angular shoulder, a twisted arm hooking around the glass. The moment I mustered the courage to approach the window, the creature slammed an open palm against it. I heard the glass crack slightly, a spiderweb of lines creeping out from the center. My breath caught, and I scrambled away, half expecting it to shatter. But it didn't. Not yet. Instead, the figure hissed again, a wet, rattling sound, and scuttled toward the door. Fear shot through my veins. Would it break in? Was I about to be trapped in a room with this thing? Just then, pounding footsteps echoed in the hallway outside. I recognized Lila's shaky voice calling my name. I managed to unlock the door, yanking it open a crack. She was standing there in a frayed bathrobe, a flashlight trembling in her grip. Her eyes were wide with terror. She'd heard the tapping and scraping, too. "We need to leave," she gasped. We both froze as the scraping sound circled around, now near Lila's office at the opposite end of the row of rooms. The overhead light flickered ominously. We bolted for the parking lot, Lila clutching me as we hurried to her car. The motel corridor smelled of dust, fear, and something pungent, like decay. In the parking lot, I saw another guest hurrying to their car, throwing luggage inside. People must have heard the noises. As Lila fumbled with her keys, the flickering motel light illuminated a shape clinging to the top of the office roof. I only saw it for a second. Elongated limbs spread out like a giant spider. head craned downward at an impossible angle. Then the thing scuttled along the roof's edge, dropping out of sight. Lila and I scrambled into her car, slamming the doors and locking them. We sped out of the lot, kicking up a cloud of dust and gravel. In the rearview mirror, I thought I saw a pale figure loping across the parking lot after us. But it might have been a swirl of sand and shadow. My pulse hammered, every nerve screaming for distance. She drove.
I'm going to share this underneath, but you're going to have to come and watch the rest of this story. This lady's this is an awesome story. Lilith Dread. If this is a real story, this is fucking fantastic. Sharing this motherfucker right now. In fact, I'll share it right now and then I won't have to fuck around. This is great. This is what I'm talking about. These fucking walkers or these things. Because the amount of stories that I'm hearing from these things sounds like it's an actual thing. He's a goddamn thing, man. It's a guy. It's a thing.